Hello there. In this video I want to show my further research of the topic of maximum depth in the game Subnautica. I had a video of my channel where I showed that there is no bottom in the game. When a certain depth is reached, the game teleports us back. But at the same time, some items such as the beacon and the camera from the scanning room can go beyond this border. In the comments under that video, one viewer asked an interesting question. What happens if you build a scanning room close to the limit and send the camera down? I liked the idea and I said challenge accepted. And yes, I seriously considered it. Of course, the first thing I thought about was just building a base at maximum depth. But the problem is that you can't do that in the game. The base must be located on some surface. But in this case, we are talking about a depth of 8,000 meters. While the reef ends at a depth of about 1,200 meters. Then I thought that perhaps there are mods that allow you to build a base anywhere. And yes, I found something like that on the internet. But here a problem awaited me. Mods are mentioned, but all the links are entered to non-working download pages. In the end, I was never able to find a working solution. In addition, you need to understand that a mod is always some kind of change in the game. And it is impossible to predict where and what side effects it can give. Whereas I am interested in the study of Subnautica in its purest form. And so I decided to carry out a crazy idea, to build a base with a duration of 8,000 meters. And now this day has come. Before I tell you the whole story and what interesting things I could find, let me sail it all from beginning to end, so what you look and make sure that this is a single base almost 8,000 meters long. It all started on the edge of the reef at a depth of about 500 meters. It was a small base with a bioreactor which I fed with aquuluses, which bred safely in the aquarium on the floor above. After making a small corridor, I started building a tunnel down using the vertical connectors. Of course, to speed up the process a little, I used cheats for infinite oxygen, resources and time acceleration. Otherwise, I will still be building this base. Of course, there was a problem here. The construction of any elements consumes the safety margin of a base. I decided to correct this as needed by building more multi-purpose rooms and applying reinforcing walls on all 6 sides. As a result, one tower completed to about 18 meters in depth was enough. By the way, I had to build so much not only because it was necessary to create a long tunnel. The more I built vertical connections, the more each of them took away strength from the base. While working, I discovered an interesting feature about multi-purpose rooms. Even though I built a tower of 110 floors, each room only took 1.3 HP. Perhaps I should have built the tunnel down from the multi-purpose rooms. It would have been easier. At first, I thought to build several intermediate levels throughout the tunnel and connect them by stairs. But even with the height difference of 2 such levels of only 500 meters, when I approach the stairs, the game starts to slow down a lot. Maybe because this game doesn't suggest what it would occur to someone to build such a long tunnel, or maybe because I built almost the entire tunnel in one line, and it's hard for the game to draw and calculate this huge path. Perhaps I needed to move a little to the side at each intermediate level, but this idea came to my mind too late and I did not want to rebuild anything. As a result, I decided to remove the stairs, since you can quickly move to the desired depth with the help of a cheat. By the way, I said before that I built the entire base almost in online. Why almost? At some point I could not continue building, and at first I thought that this was a limit on the number of elements for one base. But I was wrong. The reason turned out to be that the reef goes down not quite vertically. And although visually I did not run into it, apparently there was already an intersection of colliders, so I could not build anything. I had to go back up a little and build a small corridor to step aside. But then another problem arose – ghostly leviathans. I was a little surprised that they had not bothered me before, but as soon as I stepped back a little to the side, they immediately began to attack. It was impossible to build a base with this company, so there were 2 ways to go. Give them a fight or just activate the cheat to turn off the damage. I chose the second way. Well, they still interfered with me, because during their attacks pushed me away from the construction site. But I was still able to continue building. By the way, I discovered an interesting thing. If you start building a connection and finish the construction at the moment of the Leviathan's attack, then it seems to be stuck in the textures, then it will disappear. But after a while they appeared. But I wonder if these are the same Leviathans or others, and what exactly happens to the Leviathan when it disappears. Alas, I have not yet found a way to check. Okay, it was enough for me to complete the tunnel to the depth when the reef completely disappears. Then I again built a small corridor stepping back in the direction of the reef, as if under it. After that, the ghostly leviathans disappeared again. I decided to watch it by activating the information panel with the F1 key, and I realized what was happening. It all depends on what biome you are in. And the boundaries of a biome are set by the position along the X and Y coordinates. Leviathans attack only if you are in the void. But it turns out quite funny, that being in the same place, at a great depth, it is enough to move only a few meters to the side for the Leviathans to stop the attack. In my opinion, this is a slightly underdeveloped moment in the game. But in this case, it helped me. In addition, I decided on one of the levels to make something like an observatory for observing ghostly leviathans, for which I built a glass tunnel in the direction of the void. Here I also discovered an interesting thing. Leviathans never attack if you are inside the base, but as soon as you go outside they immediately appear. At the same time, even though leviathans can swim near the base, they never damage it, which surprised me a little. I remember how at one time my base was constantly attacked by stalkers, which are much less dangerous creatures. But here is such a huge monster and completely harmless to the base. It's kind of strange in my opinion. At some point, while I was still building the base, the energy of a bioreactor was not enough. And this is even though I did not build any elements that would consume energy. From this, we can conclude that the length of a base also affects energy consumption. I had to build a nuclear reactor in the tower. Looking ahead, it was enough to even after the construction was completed. Then I just built a tunnel down, periodically doing something like floors that I wanted to connect with stairs. Reaching a depth close to the border, I built a scanning room. I also made a small extension from below, at a depth inaccessible to me. I'll explain why later. At the same time, I want to draw attention to one more point. As you can see, it is quite dark now, and it is impossible to see the tunnel without using a light source. But it is worth using to cheat for the daytime, as it becomes visible. It turns out that the sunlight penetrates to a depth of 8000 meters. Again, this is kind of strange. So, what happens if you go into the scanning room, activate the remote control of the camera and send it down? In short, nothing. I sent the camera down, and at about 600 meters from the room, the image was lost. I swam deep until the camera discharged, and I did not lose control of it. It sank to over 22,000 meters, and I did not hit any invisible wall. But you can tell if I followed with the textures because I can see anything. After that, it becomes interesting to me. What if I did the same thing, but with the help of a cheat on the free movement of the camera? Again, nothing interesting. I was able to dive to a depth of about 200,000 meters and saw nothing. Also, it is difficult to see anything, because there is complete darkness. But still, if you stop, you can see something like rising bubbles. It means that most likely I am in the water, and did not fall out somewhere behind the textures. But I can't say for sure. But this is just a camera, and gaming restrictions are not imposed on it. So I went back to normal controls and decided to check something else. At first, teleportation. I tried the cheat and enter the command to teleport to a greater depth. And no, it didn't work. Now I'll go back and try to skip this feature on the move, but set the game speed to high. Here someone may ask how this should help, and I can answer, but I will have to explain some technical details from the Unity engine what the game is based on. So I'll just say this. Because on the movement at a higher speed, there is a chance that the engine will not have time to notice the collision of colliders in time, and then I will slip to a greater depth. But no, it didn't work. Now it's time to explain why I made this extension. The fact is that I connected the research level and the lowest one with help of stairs. The bottom level is at a depth that I can't go down to, so I want to try to skip the border with a stairs movement. Will it work? Let's try. As you can see, I did it. I am now at a greater depth than I should be. However, the game feels that something is wrong and slows down a lot, but I can move around in this level, and I don't teleport back. However, as soon as I try to go out through the hatch, the teleportation works again. It's a pity. But I must say that even this method does not always work. Once, when I went down the stairs, I was teleported, but the game continued to think that I was inside the base. That is why I went like a stone to the bottom, and after landing I did not swim, but ran along the bottom.